Yay, good morning. Hey, Chris, how are you this morning? Nice to see you on here. I heard the snow plow go by. We're still waking up to winter here in Pennsylvania. I had a dream this morning. I woke up earlier and I went back to sleep because Matt got up way earlier than me this morning for a car appointment. And I dreamt that I slept in. I dreamt that I woke up. I'm like, no. Did you ever do that? Like go to sleep with something on your mind and all of a sudden you think that you like slept in? Hey, Brenda, how are ya? She says, good morning. Hello, Susan, 55 there. Yeah. You know what? I was looking at the weather last night and we're supposed to have some decent temperatures this week and then snow comes this weekend. But yesterday, I think it ended up being somewhere around in the 60s, which was amazing. It felt so good yesterday. When you're in the middle of winter and you get those warm days, all of a sudden, then it like really feels like, whoa, it's short weather, right? Shorts weather, wear your shorts. There's always somebody. Yesterday we saw somebody with shorts, right? Because we are just anxious people, especially up here in the north in the winter. We can't wait for spring to come. So today I wanted to talk with you guys about wowing your customers, customer expectations. And I love, oh, I'm so jealous, Stacy. Is that really the 60s in Columbus? 63 in Ohio? I am so jealous. I don't think it's getting up that warm here today. And I think it might even rain here today. 69 in Maryland. Oh my goodness. Those are spring temperatures, right? But yesterday I looked and it's going to go down and get cold again. So I'm like, yes, we're out of it. Not really. I can wish and dream and hope, but I don't think it's going to happen. We got a little bit more yet of winter. Pam says with sun in PA. Yes. And didn't the sun feel good? Oh my goodness. Just put you in such a good mood. So yesterday, and I should say, I love with these chats in the morning over coffee. So hopefully you have your cup of coffee as well, just to talk a little bit about business in the morning as we get started on our day, to stay in our lane, stay on track, and just things that we can think about. Are we doing our best on? Is there stuff that we can work on a little bit more? And it's nice to be a part of a community with other people who are waking up every day doing the very same thing as you are, right? It's pretty amazing. So I like to be able to have these chats basically go in the direction of whatever you guys say to me, right? That's why I say if you have topics that you want me to talk about, I always take note of, I always have the topics that you guys list me in the comments. So at any given time, I can turn to that topic. Or if there's something we talked about yesterday and I'm like, you know what, that's a good thing to kind of pivot into the next conversation on. And so yesterday we were talking and one of you guys were talking about, yes, with customer expectations. I'm like, you know what, that's a good thing to talk about as well. Customer expectations, right? Because what you want as the service provider might be completely different than what your customer wants, to the point where what you would love to do with whatever it is that you're doing might be completely different than what your customer wants, right? But why do we want why do we want to meet our customers' service expectations? Well, hello, we won't have a business for long, right? So I made some notes this morning as I was making my coffee, and I thought I'd do a brain dump with you guys. I would love to hear what you have to say as well. So make sure you talk along with me. But let me ask you this. Let me just throw it out and get some chit chat going here this morning. Why do you think we should exceed customers' expectations? Why do you think we'd want to meet them? Why we want to wow them, see if we can go even a little bit above and beyond? Like, what would be the importance of that, right? Stacy's on her treadmill. Look at you go, girl. All right, we're burning calories this morning. Group exercise through Stacy. I just want you to know. Well, here's a few things that I wrote down. Why do you want to keep them happy? Because you want them to have a good experience, right? You want them. The whole point of being in business is to gain customers, and that's how you know you're in business. Is that it's not a hobby anymore. You now have customers. People are paying you. There's an exchange happening. You want them to be happy because happy customers mean a good business, mean good reviews, right? Means that people will go ahead and they'll tell other people about you. You get referrals, right? Because we know that negativity spreads way more than positivity. So you definitely want your customers to have a good experience, right? And I've mentioned this before, that never get so busy that you're always trying to collect new customers that you forget to take care of the ones that you have, right? Take care of the ones that are loyal to you, that, are your return customers. They're your bread and butter, right? They're the ones that come back again and again. Think about it as a business, that if you every single month, you find new customers, you wow them, you take care of their needs, right? You do a good job. They come back again next month or the month after, they come back again. And in between the time that that person comes back, you're also finding somebody new that's never used your product or service or the solution that you have before. So what happens is you get a really nice thing going on where you've got your return people, and then you've got your new people finding you, right? And then your new people turn into customers that come back again because you took care of them. Otherwise, you will never see a customer again. And sometimes people will tell you why that they are not doing business with you anymore, and sometimes they won't. So listen to the ones that tell you, because there is a very real thing that a lot of people will do business and they will never go up to the owner and tell them, maybe they had a terrible experience, a bad experience. They'll tell a million other people, but they won't tell the business owner, right? And give you a chance to fix it. So if somebody comes to you and says something was less than what they anticipated, they expected, make sure you take care of them and make sure, because you do have a chance. Even if somebody, think about you, if something went wrong along the way, because we're all human and things happen. I think in business too, you just have to realize that you're going to have days where things that even the things that are out of control, right? Things that are out of your control, just know that you're walking into, when you're doing business with people and you're working with other people or things, stuff is sometimes out of your control. And if you're prepared to know that when things do go out of control, when things do not according to plan, that you anticipate it, right? And that way you're not going to be so upset. Instead, you're going to be prepared, right? It's called being proactive versus reactive, right? And having that in mind. I know, for example, I know that I can't hand deliver as well as I hand pack a Junk Monkey Happy Mail package. I can't deliver it to every single doorstep, right? In the back of my mind, I send my packages off with some love and go, please, Mr. Delivery Man, be kind, be gentle to this package, right? You just don't know what happens between here and when it's out of your control, right? There are things in your business that things could happen to that package. Things could happen along the way. And I know that I'm prepared if that happens, right? So if somebody contacts me, I'm going to take good care of them, because like I said, that's just part of in business and all the things that we do. There's always maybe a little bit of risk, right? There's a little bit of something or another that could happen that could not be according to plan. And things don't always go according to plan in business, right? So be prepared for how you can take care of people, right? And that's going to help you avoid getting, if you're on Etsy, getting less than the amount of stars, right? Because reviews really will, the people who come behind that customer that leave some feedback for you, they will read the reviews. And they'll also know, by the way, so when people leave you reviews that are just not kind, they're not even like reasonable, we all know when we read a review that's not reasonable, right? You just kind of like discount it in your head, right? But I'm talking about real things where maybe you could have stepped up a little bit more and done something. I always use the phrase that, if you're doing business with somebody, think about them, that how would you want to be treated in this situation, right? Do you want to be like considered like you don't know what you're talking about, like be completely, oh my gosh, that's not true. Like, would you want somebody to say that to you? How do you? And as we talk about this morning, think about yourself, is there anything that you can do? Did you ever receive feedback on something? And was it something that you could improve on? Was it truly something constructive criticism that wasn't out of meanness, that wasn't just like out of rudeness, or didn't even need to go there, right? But I'm just talking about like actual business stuff, procedures, how you communicate with somebody. Like, is there any time along so far your path in business where somebody has said something to you where it would have improved their experience with you, right? Take note of those things, because it's all progress over perfection. And if there are things that you can do along the way, because, instilling different things in your business might take extra time, might take extra money, right? And it's a work in progress. Well, what I'm saying is there something that's in your control right now that maybe you could have done a better job at, right? Has somebody ever told you that, they would have appreciated a reply from you, or I don't know, or you picked up the telephone, right? Those are a couple things that I'm going to talk about today, about ways that we can basically diffuse a situation sometimes. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the customer service is on the up and up, right? It's on the good end. Sometimes, yes, things can go awry, things can go wrong, but it's important how we handle it when those things do happen, and how we take care of our customers for the most part, all right? So these are the most common things that I think that customers look for. And you guys help me out in the conversation today. When you think about you as a customer, what is it that you would expect from your customers, all right? So think about, no matter where you go, any business under the sun, what are the things that you think about when you go in to another business? And these are just the the most absolute things that you expect. Otherwise, you walk out the door and you know what, even though you might not say it to them, you say it to your spouse, to your friend, you go, I am never going back there again. Can you believe that? Like, can you believe, you know, think about some of the things that have happened to you and like what you don't stand for. Like, I will never do business again with that person. And so when you're doing business with somebody, you have the opportunity to showcase your product, your service, your solution. And we talk about, hello, Sonia, how do I stand out in a world that's what feels to you is so oversaturated? How do I stand out? Well, you know what? When you have a chance to take care of a customer, you do it so well to the best of your ability, and you stay focused on that to the point that you give them no reason to go anywhere else. Why would they go anywhere else? They always know that you're going to take care of them, right? And you're going to do these things that I'm going to talk about to them, all right? Oh, that's good. Jan says to be acknowledged when you walk in the door. And Bridget says, yes, Jan. To acknowledge my concerns, Kim says, yes, yes, yes. Okay, keep going. These are good. So I wrote down friendliness, right? Which I think totally jives with what you girls are saying here, being friendly. You know, just saying things. Sometimes, okay, this is something that you can do, all right? Sometimes, especially if you're somebody who's a get to the point kind of person, you might need to train yourself, right? When you respond, and I'm going to give you today, we're going to talk about the stuff that, you know, that just it's proven that customers want, but how you can apply it in your business, okay? Simple things that you can do that but make all the difference. Remember, we communicate differently. Some of us are right to the point kind of people. Even for me, sometimes I had to like train myself because I'm a like, you know, let me take care of it now. Like I am on it kind of person. And everybody has different love languages. Everybody has different manners of speaking. If you ever worked in an office with a bunch of other people, you know that everybody responds differently. Some people need to have extra time, you know, spent with them. They want extra communications. I'm just kind of like, tell me what you need and let me get on it kind of person, right? Other people want you to spend time with them. You realize in an office setting, if you've worked there, you know what I'm saying, right? Tell me if you do, that everybody, like some people get offended if you don't gently go into the conversation. You have to sugarcoat stuff sometimes. Everybody's different, right? So one of the things that you can do is when you're responding back to a customer, you know what? Don't forget to say hi, okay? If you want to throw in a smiley face or something like that, you can do it. I think it's totally cool. You know, should you use a smiley face emoji or not on a contract? Probably not, all right? But I'm talking about just in general communication with people when you're back and forth with people. Do whatever feels right to you. You know, you guys will probably note that I sign a lot of my stuff because this is what I do in real life. I'm just an XO Sonia kind of person. I will sign that on my notes that go out with Happy Mail when I leave on posts with people, because that's true to me. And I'm not going to stop being me. And that's part of what makes you in business, when you have things that you will do for your customers, or that's just how you particularly speak, that don't stop doing that. That's what makes you unique. All right. But what I started to say was, when you're, you know, being friendly to people, sometimes it's just writing an email back to somebody. Don't forget to say the words hi. Sometimes you just want to respond right back with, yes, blah, 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 blah. Boom, send, right? How about saying hello? How about saying, thank you so much for reaching out to me, right? Little things, little words that you can put in there instead of getting right to it, right? It just softens it a little bit and just humanizes it a little bit. So don't forget to say thank you. Don't forget to say hi. Throw in an emoji if you want. You know, and using their name is important. We talked about the sweetest name that a person can hear, you know, is their name. Type it back and also leave your name, because when you receive something back from a business, doesn't it feel more better? Doesn't it feel much better when you see a signed name? Last night, I sent an email to a service that I use as part of running my business. And this morning I woke up and there was an email back, and I'm like, yes, oh, I'm so thankful, right? Which is another thing we're talking about, promptness. But they signed it, right? They signed their name, and I'm like, oh, you feel like all of a sudden now you have a personal contact. So never forget to humanize your business by leaving your name as well, all right? You want them to listen to you, right? Want you to be acknowledged. You guys just said that over here. To acknowledge somebody is giving them a chance to talk. So if it's in a real life setting, like if you have a brick and mortar store, if somebody calls you, if, you know, somewhere where you're actively have to listen to what they have to say, don't interrupt them when they're talking. You know, there's nothing worse than when we call a place. Have you ever called a place to complain because, you know, something definitely isn't right, and you want to be able to say your entire piece? There is nothing worse. And you're like, nope, let me finish what I have to say first. Okay. I need to get this out I need to tell you exactly what happened. So don't take that away from your customers, because feelings are real, right? And if they feel that way, they feel that way. You can't change that, right? Like, they feel that way. Maybe they have a reason to feel that way. You will have your piece, you will have your say, you will have your opportunity, but do not take that away from your customers, to give them a chance to vent and to really listen to what they have to say. Isn't that horrible? Tell me if you feel like you've ever told you wanted to tell somebody something and they shut you down before you even got to even tell them, like, why it hurt you, or why it just, doesn't work, or, how you were wronged, right? People just want to be heard. They do. And especially in today's age, where we kind of touched on this yesterday, where people, they want to stand out, right? They want people to know that, hey, I exist, my feelings matter. And so you have to make sure that, you're in that mindset. Sometimes it's so easy when things go wrong when a customer calls you and you're like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? It's them. You listen to what they have to say. Sometimes things happen. Remember, we talked about, as we opened up, things will happen in business. It's out of your control, and you can't control everything. So what happens if your customer was right? Give them a chance to speak and really hear them out, okay? Next thing, they want to be understood. So not only don't just listen to me, but I want you to understand what I'm saying. I want you to understand why this is important to me. And remember, there's two sides of the coin, right? Understand what I want from you when I'm buying from you. So you listen to what they say. If they're telling you that I want this before Christmas, and you do something handmade, well, that means that you got to get that done as soon as possible, because their expectation is they're going to have it to be able to give it as a gift, right? If I'm doing something for somebody in somebody's house, and I have to listen to what they're saying because they want me to do a certain look on a piece of furniture, or on their wall, or on their cabinets, or fill in the blank, whatever you do when you do custom designs, a birthday cake, you name it, for somebody else, right? Interior decorating, when you're cooking for somebody, when you're doing something for them, you better listen, because otherwise what you put out is not the same thing that's in their head. And that is a recipe for disaster, right? So actually, that reminds me of something I'm going to write down right now as we continue to talk about this. So it's really important to understand what they want, because what you think and what they actually want can be two totally different things. So part of understanding, in order to get it right for them, because customers want you to get it right, you have to listen. You have to also ask questions, right? To really get into their head. Yesterday, we talked about when your customer says something to you, even if it's not in the same terms that you speak of, say it back to them in their terms, even though you know what they mean, right? So when they use a word to describe something that you do, and there's a technical term for it, you can say back to them, okay, so what you're saying is you want this table back here, and you want it in this color, but you want to see a little bit of that brown come through, right? You want me to distress it. They don't use the word distress, but you want to see, do you see what I'm saying? Repeat back to them. And that's always a good sign of somebody who provides good service. If you ever called to, again, if you're calling somebody to share something about your experience, and they repeat it back to you, and they say, okay, Sonia, so what I'm hearing you saying is you ordered this package on this, and you never received the tracking number, and it's been now 3 weeks, and I don't know, fill in the blank to whatever situation you've had come up, right? So, but when you hear somebody repeat back what it is that you said, whether it's in a positive, like, yes, that's exactly what I want you to do, or yes, that is exactly what happened to me, you feel good, because that goes along the lines of, now you were heard, right? So I talked about they want you to get it right. How about they want you to be professional? That's important, right? For you to always maintain professionalism. Yes, you can ham around with people, but at the end of the day, even if you're going into people's homes, whatever it is your business is that you do, they want you to make sure that at the end of the day, you do your job, right? Like, you got to make sure that you do everything. You're the one that's responsible for getting this done, right? And as much as there are things that can distract you or take you away from it, you gotta put up your own boundaries, right? They expect you. So if I'm at somebody's home and I have a slated time to work in their home because I am back to back to back on customers, or what I've got to do for my schedule that day to get stuff done, yes, I can talk to my customers for a little bit, right? I can make sure that I have that human interaction, but they're expecting me to get this done for them. So now I got to put on my professionalism suit and say, okay, awesome. Well, let me get this done for you. Here's what I'm going to do. And then I'll connect with you back on the other side, right? So they expect you to get it done. You're the one that has to set the boundaries and get it done. You're the one that's got to make it right for them, right? And I think promptness is important, right? How important is that to you? Not only getting what you want, but getting it like at the time you need it and when you need it to get done. So in all the businesses that we work in, setting deadlines and sticking to them is a great way to keep your customers happy, because they have a timeline and you have a timeline, because you don't have all the time in the world, right? You have a certain expectation of when you want stuff to get done. And how about this one? Honesty. People being completely honest with you, being transparent with you, even if you have to tell somebody some bad news, right? Even if you have to tell somebody something that, if you're working with paint, wow, the temperatures dropped into my, unexpectedly into my warehouse and the paint's drying a little bit longer than expected, right? There's certain things that you just don't rush. You're better off telling your customer that, you know what, I originally told you it's going to be this, but this is what it's looking like it might be, right? And this is I'm going to get into this part next about things that you can do that fit those things, so that way you're delivering all the things that they want you to hit on, right? Barb says, I let the customer know when things will be done, then complete them early. Oh, yes. We love somebody who says, yep, it'll be ready in 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, guess what? A week later, right? You get a call, it's ready. And you're like, really? It's ready now? I wasn't even expecting it for another week. That is a great way to wow people. Carolyn says, expressing gratitude for them doing business with you is another thing that is important. Oh, that is so true. Saying thank you to people, knowing that you wouldn't have a business if they didn't come through your doors, whether it was virtually or whether it was in person, right? Making people feel appreciated, because they only have so much money, right? You only have so much money. So where you pick and choose to spend your money, you want the best value, you want the best experience. And so, make people, when they finish having experience with you, feel like that was good. Like, hands down, when I need this again, I'm going to go back to him or her because they took care of me. Like, hands down, I don't even want to even like have an experience with anybody else, because why would I change, right? That's part of making you, locking in you, like they're coming back to you every single time because you delivered, maybe you over delivered to them, right? You exceeded their customer expectations, and they're coming back and they're telling other people away from you. Other people around you, right? Debbie says, I always look for your comment in my orders. I do. That is one thing I do. If that's humanly possible, I always sign my orders, right? When I hand pack orders, because I want people to know, thank you so much. I want them to know that they're supporting a business that has a human on the other side of it. And so that's an opportunity for me to wow my customers when they open up and they go, wow, you took the time to leave a note, right? Do you guys leave notes for your people? When I was in the part of my business where I did like custom furniture pieces for people, I love to attach a little card and say, thank you so much for your business. Somebody brought a piece of furniture to me to redo for them, and I would take a little card. Honestly, it could be just a little piece of cardboard, write a thank you, get a punch-it note and a little piece of twine and tie it on the spindle or the leg or whatever. That's a little way to say thank you, right? It feels so good. You receive something that was done by hand and it's got a handwritten note to it. You can't get that in a store, right? You don't get that same sort of, customer service touch in a store. Jan says, you can tell when you open a package and it's beautifully packaged, makes you feel appreciated. Yes. So if you're packing stuff, that's a great tip. Instead of just throw it in the box and taping it up, take the time to secure the contents, right? Lay it out nice so it arrives in good condition. Take the time, thinking that if you were the person receiving that box on the other side, how would you like it to lay? How would you like to find it in your box, right? Brenda says, you feel like you don't matter when they over talk to you when you're trying to explain. Yes. Don't give excuses. Absolutely. You're better off listen, people can tell. If you don't think, people can tell when you're genuine and when you're not, right? Just be genuine. If you're honest with people, and sometimes being honest might say, you know what, I messed up. People will forgive you if you say that, because if you're being honest, because then you're not trying to be something that you're not. Honesty is the best policy. You try not to mess up, obviously, but when you do, you acknowledge it and you go, you know what, I totally messed that up. I am so glad that you let me know that so I could take care of you. And then, you know what? If it's in your ability, do something to wow them. You know what? I'm going to do this for you, right? And fill in the blank. Do whatever you can do to help somebody out, right? Throw them something extra. Give them a free code. Give them something off their next time that they do business with you, right? Find ways that you can go above and beyond. So you're saying, I acknowledge that. Yep. You know what? Oh, I'd be so upset too if that was me. I'm so glad that you let me know. Use empathy, right? How would you feel if that happened to you? Candy says she's right now having all 5-star reviews. Fingers crossed every time I send out a new sale. Well, as long as you're going into it, right? So it sounds like you're going into it going, I want to make sure I take care of my people. I want to make sure that I show a track record of doing everything in my power to taking care of people. And when you do get reviews, respond to those reviews, right? Excuse me. Even if somebody leaves you a lesser than kind of review somewhere, always take the time to respond back to people. Barb says, I let the customer know when things will be done, then complete them early. Yes. So we talked about using their name, you using your name. Okay, one of the things that you can do if you are in a business where you're working with customers, and we talked about earlier about we really want to make sure that we're wowing them, we're delivering what our customer wants. Can you deliver sample boards? Okay, so for example, I'm thinking about the days that I did kitchen cabinets. What I have in my mind and what somebody tells me, if I want to make sure I'm right, we're meeting in the middle, take the time to do a sample board, right? Is there something that you can do? Like if your customers want you to put colors together for something that you do for them, right? Take the time to put those colors side by side for them. Anything that you can do to give people a sample. If they're buying something, how does your chocolate cake taste, right? And they're serious. You're not just giving out free samples to give free samples, right? We talked about that before in here about doing free when it moves your business forward. Otherwise, you can stand every single day and give out free cupcakes and you'll go out of business, right? But I'm talking about truly people who are, doing business with you. Like it's serious. It's happening. Maybe they've made a down payment. Something's happening here. And at this point now you're just making sure you are on the same page as them. Yeah. What can you do to sit down to get it right for them? Let them bite into vanilla. Let them bite into chocolate. Put things together for them to make sure that you get that completely right. Does that make sense? All right. How about this one? Setting deadlines. So we talked about getting things done on time. So if you have something that you need to get or that you're doing for a customer, let them know when you anticipate having it done. And you can even tell them stuff like, so when you come home by this day, this is what you should see inside your home. So, or even if you're not working with them physically, you can message them, you can let them know, you can call them, you can leave them an email. And if there's something custom that you're doing for people, sometimes letting people know the process that you have to do gives them insight into like why it might take a little bit longer, right? Doesn't magically happen like that. There's a process. Things have to dry. Things have to get put together. And that's why it's important that if you are on social media, if you can give glimpses to people of the work that you go through to do something, then it gives them also insight into like, oh, I know what she's got to do, right? I see what she's doing. I see what he's doing. I know what their schedule looks like. That way they feel like you're there, right? So if you're also going live, if you're posting daily, people know that, you're not just taking an absence. They haven't heard from you in forever. You're not on your Facebook anymore. They know you're still there, that you're working on stuff, right? Let them know what you're working on. Sometimes what you can do is, this is going to take me 2 weeks to do this. And this is going to be probably in about a week, I'll be able to show you a picture of where I am. Okay. Or before I finish it, I'm going to send you some pictures so you can check it out and see if I'm like getting exactly what your inspiration is, right? What it is exactly that you want. So we have time to change it before it's done. Bring your customers along with you and set up with some deadlines, right? Like maybe a mile marker of where you are. We all do different things in business here, but at the end of the day, setting up expectations. I think too, letting people know the expectations of like the real side of things. So if you're in real estate, telling somebody before they look at a house, like maybe like this is the positives. Now, these are a few things that you will, just to let you know before you go into it, these are the things that you might want to consider changing, or these are a few of the things that previous customers have said that might require some updates, right? It keeps it real for somebody. They walk into something or they hire you for something. things. That's like if we're doing a custom looks for people and you say stuff like, now, just to let you know, I put beads together, but every bead that I use is handmade. So they're not going to come out completely the same, right? That only adds to the character and to the beauty of it. If you do my son does hand stamped bracelets, right? Those cuffs, you guys have seen them from time to time when he makes batches of them, and we sell them with these cute little junk sayings on them. Everyone is different. So in his description, I had to make sure that he put stuff like they're never created the same, right? Everyone is different. When you're hand tapping and you know what dents happen, that's all part of hand stamped stuff, right? So, but letting your customer know that there might be irregularities that only add to the uniqueness, especially when you're doing handmade, right? And on the heels of that, I'm going to say something that I think that's overused right now that really we need to make sure, especially if you're dealing with color and you're dealing with customers and you're actually selling the object, is filters, right? Filtering pictures of stuff that we take to the point where it's deceiving with even the color. So the last thing we would want to do is filter a picture so much, put it up for sale, the customer comes and goes, I thought that was gray. That's actually sage green, right? You want to make sure your customer has the best information possible so they can make that decision, right? So just be careful with filters as well as part of exceeding customer expectations so they're not disappointed, right? Keep it real. Keep it real with, okay, this is the realness of the situation right here. So address any concerns right away. That's important, not letting it fester. If you can be proactive, we talked a little bit before, like if something's going to change the deadline, anything like that, make sure you let your customers know right away. So that way they know what's going on. Better for you to communicate with them than leave them in the dark, right? Knowledge is power. It applies to customer service as well. Let them know what's going on. So being proactive versus reactive, and keep them in the loop as you go. Does that make sense? Barb says, oh, this is good. She says she usually does a paper design and then let them see it before I start. If it's custom, that is good advice. Brenda, I always like to have them approve my design to make sure we're on the same page. Oh, that is so good. Oh my goodness gracious. You will protect yourself in business, especially, I mean, you could be doing some very high-end jobs with people. I mean, what would you do if somebody told you they wanted this color, they wanted their cabinets teal, okay? And you painted kitchen cabinets and it took you over a week. You spent your entire week and you get to the end and they go, well, that wasn't the teal that I was thinking. What would you do? Where could you go with that, right? Would you have to repaint them? Like that could be a nightmare. Whereas if you just in the beginning had a contract, right? I always did contracts for somebody when I did custom furniture for people. Expectations like once it leaves my place, you know what I mean? And you get it home, you can't call me 2 years later and expect that I'm going to come out and do touch-ups for you, right? You have to set the boundaries, because remember how we talked about in here, I think there was one day about boundaries, and not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody will do things like you, and people will ask you to do things that you would not ask them to do, all right? So you have to make sure that you have your own boundaries in place, right? And by boundaries are good when you take the time to write out something like especially if you're doing a service for somebody, the expectations are on paper, right? This will be ready in approximately 7 days. If there's a change, I will let you know by the email you have listed, right? What is your contact information? Having a trail is always good, right? That way you're on the same page. And sometimes for some people, they get, well, it gets really weird if I ask my customers to sign a contract. You know what? I never got weird about this, because you know what I always told myself when you deal with so many customers is that I am doing so I get this right for you so that we're on the same page and you don't have to wonder, right? That's the truth of the matter. So if you're ever in a situation where you're doing custom work for people, write out what it is that you will deliver upon. And then what you can do, this is what I always did. I would say, okay, all right, before I get started, come over and take a look at this. I'm going to get your signature because I want to make sure that we're on the same page, okay? So this is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I'll be doing to your cabinets. This is what I'll be doing to your furniture. This is what I'm going to be doing with the service that I offer you. List out the things that you're going to be doing. So there's no chance, right? At the very end, by the time you get to the end, that, you know what, you're on two separate planets, and that just leads to a bad customer experience. And you're going to be upset because you thought, right? Don't assume, right? You know, the whole thing that goes with assuming. Put it on paper, read it bit by bit. All right. So, okay. So like, this is something that I had to get better at. I would complete people's furniture, and it was done. And now, you know what? I want it paid for the work that I did this week. How many people out there do work and don't expect to get paid for the work that they do, right? When you're in business, you put your own boundaries in because there are people. One time, and this is, well, it went more than one time, but this was the most drastic thing that ever happened to me. Some people would, I eventually put in that your furniture must be picked up when it is completed within 7 days, right? Because my store was not a storage unit. And if you have a storefront, you begin to realize that your space is precious. You're paying for every single square foot of that. And you know what? Somebody's piece of furniture that you painted that they should come in now pick up, you've done the job on, you want paid on, you want it out of your way. You know, it's disrupting because now you need that space for the next thing that you need to do, because we only have so much space. We all know that, especially if you're dealing with bigger objects, right? There's only so much stuff that you can fit into your studio. So there has to be a flow to it. And sometimes you have to be the one that makes sure that happens, because when and it's not so bad when somebody, okay, they went 8 days or whatever by the time they came in and picked it up. But one time I had somebody and their furniture, I kid you not, was almost there for 6 months. 6 months. I really got tired of people coming in going, is this for sale? No, it's a custom job. Oh, that's still here. I'm thinking, yep, it's still here. You know what I did? You work smarter and you learn from it, right? You never lose. You always learn. All right. Sonia wrote up a thing and a little tag. They got it. All right. And I got my copy, and it says must be picked up within 7 days. All right. You can even say stuff like otherwise will become the property of blah, 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 or unless other alternative arrangements are made. Because if my customer told me that they couldn't come within 7 days to pick up their completed piece, and I really only had so much room to work with, and they said, Sonia, I'm on vacation, would that be a problem? I say, oh, no problem, I'll take care of it for you, right? I'm not talking about those types of situations. That's how you can wow somebody. I'm going to accommodate you, even though I like people to come in, get their stuff, move on, pay me. I've got more stuff I need to get done here, get it out of the way, go, get it to your house, enjoy it. I have done my work on my end. You can take care of people. You can say, yes, oh, don't even worry about that. All right, I'm going to make a note here. No worries. When you get back, come in and pick it up, right? That's how you wow people. But you know what I'm saying. Protect yourself, right? Because stuff like that can happen. Maggie says, my daughter used to make wedding cakes for a shop. She noticed over time that almost every customer had an odd negative complaint after the fact. The end goal was to get a partial refund. Oh, not good. Yeah. Tighten up your stuff, right? Tighten up your stuff. Friends, yeah. As your business grows and there's more eyes on your business, I kid you not, every day there is somebody in my inbox asking for free samples, stuff for free, all right? I wish I could supply the world with free junk monkey paint, but I would never be able to have a business if I did not, right? And so shame on people like that do that, right? You can choose as the business owner what makes sense for you when you want to do free, when you want to do a sample, but those are boundaries that just because somebody asks you doesn't mean that you have to. And having a good contract, before you even waste your time with somebody, there are things that you can do to make sure that they're serious, right? Maybe we'll talk about that on another day, right? Not wasting your time with people who are there just to get free. They're just there to pick your brain, right? Remember we talked about the pick brain, the turkey carcass, right? Nothing left of you, right? How do you protect yourself so that you have the stamina, that you're making smart decisions in business, that you have boundaries? So one of the things that I will not do, guys, is I don't do business through text messages, all right? I don't. I can't stand it when people even text me, because would I text the CEO of Pepsi or Coke or something like that, right? Probably not. You know, how do businesses typically do business? They usually have a contract. They do it by email, right? There's a paper trail, there's a contract. And so as you're setting up your business, it's when things happen that if you keep allowing it to happen to you, then that's your fault, right? You're allowing it. You're training people how you want to be treated, right? When people text me, for the most part, I don't respond because I've always said, and I've never said, please text me. I always say, send me an email, right? That's how you email. And, you know, you have to train people how you want to be treated. Otherwise, it can turn into a nightmare. All right. So taking the time to be on the same page, there's nothing wrong with being on the same page with people. Jan says, exactly, Sonia. You don't go to Outback and expect to get your food for free. You'll go out of business in a heartbeat if you give it away. Absolutely. Yep. You got to protect. This is your future. This is your livelihood. You got to protect it. If you're not careful with it, then you won't have it. It won't last. You got to have some sensible, reasonable things. And there are people that will not ask sensible, reasonable things of you. There are people that will abuse your time. There are people that will just try to take advantage. And there are people that will push your buttons and see how far you will take it. All right. So, you know, if I've told somebody, please email me next time, or, you know, if I've responded back and said, please email me, if they continue to do it in the other way, then I will just not respond because I'm sorry, I've told you on the phone 3 times. All right. And this goes as well with something that we can do to take care of people is having a conversation on the phone with them, if at all possible. So if things go awry, I immediately will look up a customer account and we'll look up a number and I will call them and I will answer it. I will be on it right now. And also trying to call them, leaving a message for them, because that's important, right? Sometimes people, because they don't know you, you know, some people know you and some people don't know you, right? And the people who don't know you, immediately, they could think the worst about your business. So you have to show them that, no, actually, there's a human here. I'm going to take care of you. I took the time to call. Please give me a call back. Leave them an email as well, right? Whatever ways they left to be contacted on their customer account, do it that way. Don't send them a text message. Rather, you know, email, call, do those things. Make sure that you're not overstepping boundaries. Candy says, you know you are successful when people want free stuff. The more people that see what you're doing will come to you and ask you for free stuff all day long. All day long. Judy says, what if they don't show up for months? You mean, are you talking about with the example that I gave of somebody who takes forever to come and pick up their painted stuff? What I started doing was having a contract saying that if you don't pick it up within 7 days, it becomes property of my store. That makes somebody come and get their furniture, right? 7 days. And then I also added in there, unless previous arrangements are made with shop owner. Okay. That makes them communicate with me. And when they do say they need extra time, then I can say, absolutely, I'll take care of you. We'll change that right there. No worries. So instead of the 7th, you can get there by the 14th. That's perfect. I'll put it over there for you. I'll put a tarp over it. It'll be good when you get back. No worries. Enjoy your vacation. Right. But that's to keep people who otherwise will take advantage of you and think that you're a storage unit when you're not, right? Because not everybody will act in the same way. Luckily, I have had delightful customers, and there's been a fraction where you're like, I probably wouldn't do that to another human being, but you learn from that and you get better and you get smarter at it, right? So I started doing things like 50% down. So regardless, I have made half of whatever it is. So 50% when you drop off your piece of furniture to me on the day that I have picked, all right, you drop it off to me. I talk to you about what exactly you want done. I show you samples. We're in the same place. We write it down. You sign off on it. I tell you exactly what's going to happen next, what I'll be doing your furniture that week, when it will be ready, how I will notify you that it's ready, and you are to pick it up within 7 days. And then the other half is due upon pickup, right? Unless you've made previous arrangements with me, I expect you to pick it up within 7 business days. And I said business days as well, right? You don't expect somebody sometimes on a Sunday or a day like that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes you see people do that. I mean, think about stores that, don't you just take it more seriously when you do put half down on something? I mean, think about it. You are less likely to waste somebody's time when you feel like you might even have something to lose, right? Like if you set up a hair appointment and it's locked in, like they have said to you, like I saw somebody the other day post, and it was a hair appointment salon, and they had posted that they were very upset, saying that they had created spots for people, for these customers who had taken the time to book up spots to come. And she was turning away other people from those spots, right? That was affecting her business. And then those people just never showed up. They never showed up. No, never rescheduled, never gave her a heads up. And now she had turned away business. So as a result, she couldn't make money that day because the original customers didn't show up. And she told the people who wanted to show up that she was already booked with those people. So she lost. And so I saw that she posted the other day that once she takes the booking from you, that if you fail to show up, she will no longer take bookings from you, right? Like it's that serious, right? It's to the point where it's affecting business now. And so you have to be the one to set boundaries, because if you are professional, and professional businesses, I'm sorry, if you have a professional business, there's certain ways you communicate, right? There's just certain things that you do to maintain professionalism, and communication is one of them. And you might take half down deposits. You deliver, everything's all on the same page, and there's that expectation, right? Yep, so they know everything up front. That's true. And texts can be misinterpreted. Text, as in text messages, can also disappear, right? When you buy a new phone, text messages can also be deleted, all right? Emails, printed emails, completely different. Do you texts that come in from customers that potentially down the road, that if there's ever an issue with, if you ever have to go to court, I've had plenty of creative friends that have been taken to court, right? That's why you got to make sure that you are covering your assets, okay? You got to make sure that everybody's on the same page here, because you just don't know sometimes. You just know, you want to know, you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So do you really think that text messages from somebody whose code name is, I don't know, Cup of Joe this morning, right? No, text messages are what's going to stand up in court. Email messages are what's going to stand up in court, right? Documents, right? Have you ever heard of the phrase of document? If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. That comes to me from my HR days. And trust me, I have been to many a times in courts representing the company. And if you don't have documentation, you might as well not even show up, right? And things like, text messages, that's a joke. That is an absolute joke. You got to make sure that you're treating your business like an actual business. You're taking the time to just put all your ducks in a row. And that's why people come to you. You meet in their expectations. You're telling them, this is what I'm going to do for you. Right here, you sign, I sign, here's your copy. Sounds good. Let me do my thing. I'll keep you communicated along the way. And then at the end, every time you do that, there's less of a chance that somebody is not going to be happy. And then the things are going to happen that you don't want, which is, you know what, they're going to be unhappy. They're going to want a refund. They're going to leave you a negative review. They're going to tell people how horrible you took care of them. You didn't even get it right. No, we want just the opposite. We want to flip it on the other side, right? So taking the time to make sure that, especially if you're in the service-based business, like we're talking a lot about custom things right now, getting those things in place are important, but also doing things like when somebody checks out on your website, adding a little sentence there that might say, please allow us, up to 48 hours typically to be able to prepare your package for you. On your website, creating a little section that says frequently asked questions, right? So you can tell people exactly what it is your policy is, whether you do refunds, whether you don't do refunds, right? Things like that. So there's no, like when people do business with you, they know exactly how your terms of business. So you can tell them verbally, you can write it on paper, you can have it at checkouts, whatever it is. But making sure that you are a clear communicator. What would you like to know? And if you haven't been clearly communicating, there's no better time than now to get it in place. Yep, Chris says, if you didn't document, you didn't do it. The lawyers will rip you up. And you just you're playing with somebody else's money. You're doing something they've hired you for. Yeah, you've got to make sure that you are on tip top, right? Right. I'm laughing at what Bridget wrote there. Yeah. So you're talking about when somebody does pay the 50% down, they're less likely, right? Because they expect it. That's business. That's professional business. There are certain things that you expect, right? That's right. So yeah, what are some things that you can do a little bit better? Maybe somebody has given you feedback on. Do you have to clearly communicate something with people? Do you have to write up, a contract? Do you have to put some things on paper? Things that you can get better at, and maybe it's communicating, maybe it's timeliness, getting things done, planning out your time so that if you tell your customer it's going to take 1 week, and now 1 week goes by, and just because you haven't been feeling it, you haven't done whatever it is that you told them you would do, which leads to unhappiness on the customer end of things. So, what is it that you can do and that you can get better at? What is it that you can streamline so that your customers, you are doing everything humanly possible, right? At the end of the day, just treating other people like they want to be treated and asking yourself, if that was me and I was buying from my own company, like would I want a system that could send them a message that says your package has been delivered? That's a good one, right? Think about all the stuff that, okay, if they came to my website, what is it that they would like to see? How can I serve them with what I post today or what I put on my website, right? Put yourself in your customer's shoes and say, if I were to do business with me today, would I be lacking something? Would I feel like I need to do something for my customer? Like, what else can I do, right? And as long as you're always striving to please your customer, you're always in that mindset, I'm serving somebody else. I get great ideas from my customers for how to improve, right? Run with it, because if one person tells you something, chances are there's a lot of other people out there that just will not tell you something. They haven't told you something, and listen to what they tell you and learn from that. All right. Do you guys have any quick questions before I take off of here? Hopefully I got you thinking about customer service today, looking at your own customer service and go, could I get a little bit better? What could I do? Yep, never forgetting to say thank you. Pam says, my mom's favorite saying was, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Truth, right? Yep. If you're honest with people, people will give you grace. If you say, oh my God, now you got to make it right for them. You got to go, thank you so much for letting me know so I can fix that for you and make that right for you. I'm so glad. Yeah, thank you. Let me take that back before you get that. Let me do what I got to do. Think how you would want to be taken care of. Good. Yay. Well, I think we covered this topic all over the place. Lisa says, have an amazing day. Thank you. You're welcome, Lisa. Bridget says, great advice. Make it a great day, ladies. Yes. All right. We're all just a work in progress. Say it with me. We're all just a work in progress. And it gets easier. The more everything that you put in place for your business today, think about it. It's there now for tomorrow. So, and it's there to help another customer that might have, had a similar experience, right? So at the end of the day, we're focused on good experience. How can we be proactive versus reactive? What can I do that I don't have right now in my business that would improve the situation? Yay, Candy says she loves our creative tribe. That's awesome. Good deal. Well, it is Tuesday, and we have a lot to be thankful for. Primarily, we are here. We get to have another day in business. We get to serve people. We get to make it the best day ever, right? Brenda says, see ya, peeps. Thank you, Chris. She says, be sure to close out the chat and give it a thumbs up. I run on your hearts I run on your love and your thumbs up and your comments. And if you would be so kind to share this video to help somebody else out there, it helps me keep my space open here for you guys so we can interact daily. So thank you for doing that. Hit the 3 dots up above or down below this video and pass it on for somebody who just needs some help in their business, and to know that when you change your business, you change your life and good things happen. All right, friends, I will see you guys again tomorrow. Take care and do some good stuff. Do things for your business today to help you move it forward and help you be a better person for your customers. You are so welcome, Jerry. All right, see you tomorrow morning. Bye.